Hi everyone, I'm Caitlin O'Shaughnessy, a senior attorney at Osorio, and today I want to walk you through a couple of options for getting a copy of your file from immigration. What are some of the reasons that someone would want a copy of their file from immigration? And when I say immigration, I just mean like generally the government's file on you related to your immigration situation. This doesn't apply so much to people who have, for example, just entered the country and they were given all of their documents and they have a court date. But it does apply to people who, for example, maybe entered the country like 20 or 30 years ago, or even 10, and they can't remember exactly what happened when they crossed the border. Maybe they are not sure if they were arrested or if they were fully deported or just turned around at the border, or perhaps they are pretty sure but not positive that someone filed a petition for them at some point, things like that. So in a lot of cases, particularly when someone has been in the US undocumented for a long time, you just want to know your entire immigration history. And obviously, if someone has filed a petition for you and you don't have a copy of that petition, there are a lot of times when you might want a copy of that petition, or it'll impact how you move forward with the rest of your immigration situation. So in those cases, we file what is called a FOIA request. And FOIA is an acronym, FOIA, stands for a Freedom of Information Act request. So there are a few main types of them, and then I'm also going to talk about a couple other types of requests that you can make. The first one I'll talk about is an FBI record check. This actually is not a type of FOIA, but they can be really useful. You can submit your fingerprints to the FBI to get a copy of your criminal history in the United States. And this will also show up any records that the federal government, that the FBI has on you for any irregular or unlawful border crossings that have happened. And those can be really useful for like the example I gave where you're not sure if you actually got deported, or you're not sure if you got arrested by ICE, or you're just not sure what happened. The FBI background check can be really helpful for that. It may also turn up your A number if you don't know what that is. Another type of record check that we can do is through OBIM, and that's just another government agency. And this is the most reliable type for coming up with your A number. And you're going to need your A number to actually get any records from USCIS or the immigration court. So if you don't have a copy of your A number, then you need to do these sort of preliminary checks to get that A number before you can expect to get anything useful from the government. So with the OBIM check, it will generally return your A number. And then once that's done, once you have a copy of your A number, you can then move on to file FOIA requests with either USCIS and the immigration court, EOIR. A USCIS FOIA can be really, really useful because it'll turn up anything that you filed with USCIS, and it'll generally turn up parts of applications that someone has filed on your behalf, but not always. So it'll generally turn up a family-based or employment-based petition. Often, a lot of the information will be redacted. So if, say, a former spouse filed a petition for you, the former spouse's information will often be redacted. It'll generally turn up any green card applications that you filed for yourself or that someone else has filed for you, temporary protected status, an affirmatively filed asylum application as well. So a lot of people have waited a really long time for an asylum interview, for example, and maybe you prepared your original case with a case writer or with a translator or somebody else, and you didn't keep a copy of your 589 or your personal statement or whatever, then filing a USCIS FOIA is really essential so that you know exactly what is going to be in your file when you go to your asylum interview. Same for court. With EOIR, which is the Executive Office for Immigration Review. That's what the formal name for immigration court is. Particularly if you've been in removal proceedings, let's say a long time ago, and maybe you're in them again, it can be really useful to just have a full copy of everything that the court has so that you know what the judge is looking at before you go into court. And normally an EOIR FOIA will turn up anything related to your court proceedings. So it'll turn up the notice to appear issued by the Department of Homeland Security, any of the judge's orders, so decisions in your case, orders to file something, for example, more evidence, something like that. It'll also turn up anything that was filed in court by the Department of Homeland Security or by you, obviously, or any of the previous attorneys that have worked for you. Hopefully this gives you kind of an overview of what's available to you once you start trying to hunt it down. FOIAs right now, in my experience, are not taking so long, like a couple of months. So it's often worth it to just do the FOIA so that you have a full copy of everything that exists in your file, because it can really only help you. It only provides extra information, and they're generally a fairly straightforward and simple process. So hopefully that has given you a little bit of insight into how you can obtain records that you might have lost, or if you think somebody's filed something for you, how you can confirm that. So drop your questions in the comments and we will do our best to answer them. Thank you.